Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. We got some major news to discuss on the future of Joe Schoen with the New York Football Giants. Adam Schefter of ESPN giving us an update on that. And then Jordan Renan, as well as Diana Rossini, Tom Pelissero, Jeremy Fowler, and Ian Rappaport all giving us an update on a list that Joe Schoen has put together to be the next head coach for the New York Giants that has been presented to John Mara. We're going to take a deep dive into all of that on today's show, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Now is the time of year when breaking news happens, and you're not going to want to miss it. Our mission is, when Giants news breaks, we get a video out to you ASAP. So subscribe, hit that big red sub button, and get free videos every day on your New York Giants. We are 9 subscribers away from 99,000 subs. Be a real one. Join the channel. Hit that sub button. All right, let's start with Joe Schoen, and then we'll get to the inside information on the head coach search. Adam Schefter reporting, I'm not expecting as much activity at the GM position this cycle as the head coaching position. I know people have talked about the Giants, but I think Joe Schoen is going to be there for a little bit of time. And this comes on the heels of Paul Schwartz of the New York Post essentially saying that Joe Schoen is going to be back with the New York Giants for the 2026 season. Very unfortunate news, I think, for Giants fans out there. I think there are a couple of things that you could point to that are positive for Joe Schoen, but there is an overwhelming amount of evidence that suggests that he has not done a good job here. I mean, the facts are the facts. They've won 6 of their last 27 games, and 2 of those 6 wins came in Week 17, where the New York Giants held the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. I don't have to go on about why I think Joe Schoen should be fired. I tried to do a video earlier this week where I challenged myself to come up with reasons for him to be kept, and the evidence wasn't there, wasn't strong enough. I believe he should be fired. If you're watching this video, you probably think he should be fired, but it does not sound like that is going to happen, as multiple people, including Jordan Renan, saying sources have told him Schoen is coming back in 2026, but that is barring any change of mind from ownership or a high-level head coach demanding his own GM. We saw that in Jacksonville this past year where Liam Cohen said, if I'm going to be the head coach, you got to move on from your old GM and you got to get a GM that I want to work for. So knock on wood, hopefully that's still a possibility, but all signs point to Joe Schoen being back with the New York Giants. Jordan Renan also reporting that Joe Schoen has turned in his initial list of head coach candidates to ownership. We'll go name by name, starting with Mike McCarthy, the former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and Green Bay Packers. This is a name that we haven't heard a lot of this cycle, but it sounds like the Giants are going to interview him. He's a candidate that has a strong resume. Super Bowl champion with the Green Bay Packers, worked with Aaron Rodgers, went to the Dallas Cowboys, won 12 games in 3 straight seasons, and in my opinion, he took Dak Prescott to another level. His teams score a lot of points, and his teams win a lot of football games. Some the New York Giants haven't done all that much of. Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula was the name on that list as well. This is the guy that's probably leading the pack for me as to who I want to see as the head coach. Who knows if it's going to happen. Young defensive mind, has some NFL blood in him. His uncle was once the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants, obviously related to Don Shula as well. He's a name to monitor. Antonio Pierce, former Raiders head coach and former New York Giants Super Bowl winning inside linebacker, was a name that was mentioned. Not sure if he is I would say serious in this search, but I know there's some people that will be excited about that. Mike Kafka is expected to get an interview, the current interim head coach for the Giants. I don't think he has any legit shot to get the job. Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley is a name that is expected to get an interview, according to Jordan Renan. There was a lot of smoke around his name earlier in the cycle from the area. Grew up a Giants fan, was the head coach of Boston College. I've heard that that is something that the Giants ownership and brass really likes about him as well. Defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo of the Indianapolis Colts is a name that is expected to get an interview. He's buddies with Joe Schoen. His son is a part of the Giants scouting staff as well. And he was a New York Giants defensive back coach, I believe, in 2018. So those are the names that are expected to get an interview. Some outside chances to get an interview. Matt Burke, the defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, did not start the season calling plays, but after the 0-3 start for Houston, D'Amico Ryans handed over that responsibility to Burke. And I know there's a lot of talent on that Texans defense, maybe the most talent in the NFL, but that unit has been clicking on all cylinders. Clint Kubiak is a name that has an outside chance. I would expect him to be thoroughly in the mix. He's an offensive mind. You have a young quarterback. You should be doing whatever it takes to make sure that Jackson Dart is set up for the most success possible. Has had a lot of success this year with Sam Darnold. Had a lot of success last year with Derek Carr. Derek Carr with the Saints. Prior to all the injuries in New Orleans last year. Cliff Kingsbury is a name that has been mentioned a couple of times as well. Current offensive coordinator for Washington, former head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. And then Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, the name that we have not talked about on this channel. He could be in the mix as well, according to ESPN. So that's all the stuff from ESPN. According to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, Robert Saleh and Clint Kubiak are expected to, quote, be in the mix for the Giants head coaching vacancy. Saleh, the current defensive coordinator for the 49ers, that is where his name, I would say, blew up, and he had the most success prior to joining the New York Jets as their head coach. Did not work with the Jets. I don't mind the interview. Would be interested to see what his plan is on offense. Very strong defensive mind. I think he's worth throwing his name in the hat. Clint Kubiak, we talked about that. Of all the offensive coordinators that are looking to make the jump, he's number one on my list. Rossini also says a list of 10 to 15 potential candidates, though not all are expected to make it to the interview stage. In-person interviews can officially begin January 19th, so we are 16 days away from that. The Cleveland Browns are a spot that all New York Giants fans should keep their eyes on. And when it comes to Kevin Stefanski, there are rumors out there that Stefanski could be fired from the Browns, two-time coach of the year. Jeremy Fowler saying Stefanski might be the strongest retread candidate in the eyes of many. The Giants would be an ideal fit. We've talked a little bit about Stefanski. He's had some success in this league on the offensive side of the football, helped Baker Mayfield lead the Cleveland Browns to their first playoff win, and God knows how long. I have some things that I'm a little bit worried about with him, but he is a name to be mentioned. Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero saying interim head coach Mike Kafka is expected to get an interview. Others potentially on the radar include ex-NFL head coaches Vance Joseph, defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, ex-head coach for the Denver Broncos. That unit is having a great season. I'm not sure if I'm ready to bring him back as head coach. We need a really strong plan on the offensive side of the ball. Didn't go well in Denver when he was there. Cliff Kingsbury, Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy, a name to keep your eyes on. It seems like his name is always being thrown in the mix. Ex-Bears head coach. I believe they won 12 games under him 1 year. Got to the playoffs as well. Current offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. I'll be honest, ever since Matt Nagy joined the Chiefs, that offense has not been the same. Antonio Pierce, according to Rapp and Pelissero. Current assistants, Lou Anarumo. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Bills. I haven't really put much effort into speaking about Joe Brady, just because I would be shocked if the New York Giants bring another offensive coordinator from Buffalo to be their head coach. But I was also shocked that the Giants are bringing back a GM that won 3 games in year number 4 and 3 games in year number 3. Matt Burke, we've talked about him. Jesse Minter is a name to keep your eye on. The defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers from the Harbaugh tree, was a part of that defensive staff that was national champions for Michigan a couple of seasons ago. Chris Shula and Davis Webb was a name mentioned by Rapp and Pelissero. I don't mind that name being mentioned, and it kind of fires me up a little bit. That's doing your work. That's going beyond just the names that everyone's talking about, an up and rising name in the coaching candidate and circle throughout the NFL, working with Sean Payton in Denver right now, was the Giants' backup quarterback. Supposedly him and Daniel Jones got along really well, and Jones credited Webb for a lot of his success. It's okay to be early on a head coach, especially if it works out. I would like to see Davis Webb in the mix for this, and if you get a strong defensive coach, let's say you get a Chris Shula or you get a Jesse Mentor or somebody like that, Jeff Hafley, I wouldn't mind Davis Webb as the offensive coordinator. We'll close with what Josina Anderson had to say on Twitter. One expected carousel head coach candidate on the market told me this morning, quote, I think the Giants' job will be the best available. They are the team poised to take the biggest jump next season. Of the teams opening up, they have best all-around D-line, best skilled players once healthy, and you can build with their QB who's got a lot of upside. I think their O-line is better than some other teams I see coming open. There is a lot you can do with that talent. You would love to have the talent they already have in place. We're 24 hours, sorry, I lied. We're 48 hours away from Black Monday. It's going to heat up. You're going to start to hear a lot more names on Monday, and I promise you, nobody is going to keep you up to date on YouTube covering this football team better than we will. 2 videos every day, Monday through Friday, maybe even 3 videos. If there's news to talk about, we're going to stop, drop, and roll and get you that video. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon. And if you made it this far in the video, subscribe to the channel. We're 9 subs away from 99K and 1,000, right? 1,009 away from 100K. Hit that sub button. We'll be back in the studio live for the final game tomorrow. Until then, let's go Big Blue.